Elon Musk believed he knew everything about Tesla. Cars, technology, and, most importantly, how customers were treated. After all, he was the boss. But when his friend Zach challenged him to discover the truth for himself, Elon couldn't resist. Elon, disguised as Eddie Mercer, an ordinary science teacher looking to purchase his first electric vehicle, walked into his own Tesla dealership expecting excellent service. What he discovered, however, would challenge everything he thought he knew about his company. Elon Musk tapped his fingers against his glass desk. Outside his office window, the California sun shone on the Tesla factory. He grabbed a small rocket model and spun it in his hands. "You believe you understand everything about your company, don't you?" Zach replied with a smile. Zach Torres was Elon's friend since college. Unlike most people, he was not afraid to take on the famous billionaire. Elon stopped spinning the rocket. "I do not think I know everything." "I know everything." Zach laughed and shook his head. "Really? Do you know how janitors clean the restrooms? You know how the lunch ladies prepare the food?" "That's not what I meant," Elon explained. "I am aware of all the important details." "Okay, big shot," Zach said, leaning forward in his chair. "Then you must be aware of exactly how customers are treated when attempting to purchase a Tesla, correct?" Elon nodded. "Of course, we offer the best customer service in the automobile industry. Our salespeople are trained to be helpful and honest." "That's what your reports say," Zach explained. "But have you ever experienced it for yourself? As a regular person? Not like Elon Musk, the famous billionaire who everyone recognizes." Elon frowned. "No, that is impossible. Everyone recognizes my face. What if they don't?" Zach's eyes twinkled with excitement. "What if you went in a disguise?" "Disguise?" Elon repeated. The idea appeared silly at first, but a sense of curiosity developed within him. "What about a fake beard and glasses?" "Exactly." Zach clapped his hands. "You could pretend to be a regular guy looking to purchase his first electric vehicle. See how they treat you when they don't realize you're the boss." Elon stood up and approached the window. He observed workers moving across the factory floor below. Did he truly understand the customer experience? Or did he only know what others told him? "I bet the experience will not be what you expect," Zach said. "I bet you will be surprised." Elon turned around. "Do you think my team isn't doing well?" "I believe," Zach carefully stated, "that the boss is sometimes told what he wants to hear. The only way to know the truth is to see for yourself." Elon thought about it. He founded Tesla with the goal of changing the world by producing electric vehicles that people would enjoy. Customer experience was an important part of that mission. "Okay," Elon said finally. "Let's do it. I'll go undercover as a customer." Zach's face lightened up. "Really? Are you serious?" Elon said, "I am dead serious. But we need a good plan, a solid disguise, and a plausible backstory." They spent the next hour finalizing the details. Elon would become Eddie Mercer, a 45-year-old science teacher looking to purchase his first electric vehicle. Eddie would be on a teacher's salary, so he would be frugal, but he could afford a basic Tesla model. "You need to look completely different," Zach said, taking notes on his tablet. "Different hair, possibly glasses, and definitely different clothing." Elon mentioned that he knew a makeup artist named Mia who could help with the disguise. Zach nodded. "You also need to practice speaking differently. No offense, but your voice is fairly recognizable." Elon tried speaking at a higher pitch. "How does it sound?" Zach laughed so hard that he almost fell off his chair. "Terrible. We have work to do." "What are we betting on here?" Elon asked, returning to his normal tone. "Zach predicted that you'd be treated worse than you could imagine. That the amazing customer experience you believe Tesla provides is not what regular people receive. And I bet our team is professional and helpful to everyone, not just me," Elon said, crossing his arms. What does the winner receive? If I win, Zach reflected for a moment, you must fix whatever problems you discover without firing everyone. Make things better, rather than simply punishing people. And if I win, Elon said, you must admit your mistake and devote a month to improving our customer service training. Deal. They shook hands firmly. Elon's assistant knocked on the door and peered inside. Sorry for interrupting, but your next meeting started 5 minutes ago. Tell them I'll be right there, Elon replied. As his assistant left, he returned his attention to Zach. I need to decide which dealership to visit. Choose one with positive online reviews, Zach advised. One that looks great on paper. This is where you will learn the most. Elon said, I have just the place in mind. The Bay Area location is managed by Vince Parker. He wins all of our customer satisfaction awards. Excellent choice. Zach grinned. When do we start? This weekend, Elon stated. I'd like to see how they handle a busy Saturday. That's when they'll become stressed and reveal their true colors. Zach stood up to leave, saying, this is going to be really interesting. At the door, he turned around. Remember, Elon, this is not about winning a bet. It's about making sure Tesla is exactly what you think it is. Elon nodded slowly. I understand. That is why I am doing it. After Zach left, he sat down and stared at the Tesla logo on the wall. Had he lost touch with what was going on at the front lines of his company? Was there a disconnect between what he believed and reality? There is only one way to find out. Eddie Mercer had to go shopping for a Tesla. 3 days later, Elon sat in a private room in Mia Chen's special effects studio. Mia had worked on numerous Hollywood films, making actors appear as monsters, aliens, and completely different people. Hold still, Mia said as she applied spirit gum to Elon's face. This will help your beard stick better. How many celebrities have you helped disguise? Elon inquired, careful not to move his mouth too much. Mia smiled. More than I can count. However, they are usually hiding from fans or reporters, rather than pretending to be ordinary people in order to monitor their own operations. Is that weird? Elon asked. It's actually cool, Mia said, carefully applying a brown beard to his face. Most bosses do not care enough to do what you do. Mia worked her magic for 2 hours. She grew Elon's beard, changed his brows, and gave him a realistic-looking fake nose. She used makeup to make his skin appear slightly different and added small touches that altered the shape of his face. Now for the finishing touch, she said, placing wire-rimmed glasses over his face. These have clear lenses, so they will not impair your vision. Elon looked in the mirror and gasped. A stranger stared back at him. He still had the same eyes, but everything else was different. This is amazing, he said. I do not recognize myself. Mia laughed. However, the disguise is only one aspect of it. You should also change the way you move and speak. They spent the next hour practicing. Elon learned to walk with slightly rounded shoulders rather than his typical straight posture. He practiced speaking in a slightly higher and softer tone than his normal one. Zach reminded himself that Eddie Mercer is a science teacher as he observed the transformation. He is knowledgeable about science, but he does not know everything about electricity. Cars. That will be difficult to fake, Elon admitted. I know absolutely everything about them. Then pretend you don't, Mia advised. Ask questions that you already know the answers to. See if they are telling you the truth. Then came the clothing. Zach had brought several outfits that a teacher could wear. Khaki pants, button-up shirts, tweed jacket with elbow patches, and comfortable shoes. No offense, Zach said, but your regular clothes are prohibitively expensive. Eddie cannot afford custom-made shirts. Elon changed into his new clothes and looked in the mirror again. The transformation was completed. Elon Musk vanished, and Eddie Mercer took his place. We need to practice your story, Zach suggested. What happens if they ask personal questions? They created an entirely fictitious life for Eddie. He taught science at a fictional school called Westlake Academy. He was single, lived in an apartment, and drove an old Honda that was about to break down. He'd been saving for 3 years to purchase an electric vehicle. What about identification? Elon suddenly inquired. What if they want to see my driver's license during the test drive? Zach pulled out a wallet and said, "This is already handled. I had our security team make a fake driver's license. It is not illegal because the coding clearly states that it is not a legitimate government ID, but it appears to be genuine enough for a quick glance." Elon examined the fraudulent license. It featured his disguised face and the name Edward Mercer and a fraudulent address. Mia suggested a practice run. "My assistant, Jamie, is unaware of your true identity. Let us see if you can fool her." Jamie entered the room, and Zach introduced her to Eddie, a friend who needed makeup for a costume party. They spent 5 minutes talking about electric cars, teaching, and the weather. After Jamie had left, Zach turned to her. "Did he look familiar to you at all?" Jamie shakes her head. "No, why? Should I recognize him from somewhere?" They all laughed when she left. "You're ready," Mia said as she packed her supplies. "Just remember not to touch your face excessively. The beard is secure, but habits such as rubbing your chin may loosen it." Elon practiced some more expressions in the mirror. He smiled, frowned, and appeared confused, as if he were hearing technical information for the first time. "Saturday is the day," he said, feeling both excited and nervous. "Eddie Mercer is going Tesla shopping, and I'll be watching from a distance," Zach said, with a hidden camera recording everything. As Elon gazed at his transformed reflection, he wondered what he would find. Would the Tesla experience meet his expectations? Was Zach right to be concerned? Only a visit to the dealership could reveal the truth. The following day, Elon and Zach met in a private conference room at Tesla headquarters. The windows were tinted so that no one could see inside, and Elon had instructed his assistant not to disturb them. "We need to find the ideal dealership," Elon explained, pulling up a map on the large screen. Red dots indicated Tesla locations across the country. Zach recommended that you choose a location where you are unlikely to run into people you know. "Maybe not in your neighborhood," Elon said, nodding. "Good point, but I want one that is supposed to be excellent, not one that we know has flaws." They looked through customer reviews and performance reports from various Tesla stores. After an hour of pulsing, they had narrowed the options down to 3. Zach said, "This one looks promising," pointing to a location about 2 hours away. The Bay Bridge Tesla. "It's run by Vince Parker." Elon clicked on the store file. "Vince has been with us for 5 years. Every quarter, his team wins awards for customer satisfaction." He scrolled through additional data. "Their sales figures are incredible, and they have virtually no complaints." Zach smiled as he said, "Perfect. If a top dealership like this one has problems, we know they could be widespread." Elon responded, "Or maybe they are great and you will lose our bet." "Perhaps," Zach shrugged, "but there is only one way to find out." Elon looked up the dealership's website. It featured a gleaming building with rows of shiny Teslas in front. There were photographs of Vince Parker shaking hands with satisfied customers. His silver hair and bright white smile made him appear trustworthy. "Let's learn everything we can about this place," Elon suggested. "I want to know about the layout, the staff, and their routines." They discovered Vince had an 8-person sales team. The dealership was busiest on Saturdays, particularly in the afternoon. They had a separate area for test drives and a comfortable waiting room where customers could enjoy free coffee while their paperwork was processed. "We need the floor plan," Elon explained. He called the facilities department and requested a blueprint, claiming it was for a renovation study. When the floor plan arrived, they examined it carefully. Zach noted that the main entrance leads directly to the showroom. The sales desks are located along this wall, with the finance office in the back. "And there are cameras here, here, and here," Elon explained, pointing to the blueprint. We must be careful not to stand directly beneath them. Even in disguise, the security team might recognize me. How about Vince's office? Zach asked. Right. Elon pointed to a corner room with windows that look out onto the showroom, allowing him to watch everything. They made a schedule for their visit. They would arrive around 2 p.m. on Saturday, when the dealership will be busy. Zach would enter first and pretended to be looking at cars. Elon, as Eddie Mercer, would arrive 10 minutes later. What if someone recognizes you despite your disguise? Zach asked. Elon said, then I'll admit what I'm doing and swear them to secrecy, but I doubt that will happen. Mia's disguise is too good. They decided that Zach should wear a small camera hidden in his glasses to record everything. Eddie would wear a microphone that resembled a normal button on his jacket. Remember, Zach said, Eddie Mercer is looking for the most affordable Tesla. He has questions about range, charging, and maintenance costs. He is concerned about his budget but excited about going electric. Elon practiced his Eddie voice again. I've been saving money for years. This will be the most expensive item I've ever purchased. Zach nodded. That is precisely how most customers feel. Elon was filled with both excitement and nervousness as the meeting came to a close. In 2 days, he would witness firsthand how his company treated regular customers. Will the experience meet his expectations? Or would he discover uncomfortable truths about the company he had founded? Saturday couldn't arrive fast enough. When the day finally arrived, Elon awoke early with butterflies in his stomach. Eddie Mercer planned to go Tesla shopping today. It appeared silly to be nervous. After all, he owned the business. However, the thought of walking into his own dealership as a stranger made his heart race. Mia arrived at his house at 10:02 a.m. to apply the disguise. She worked carefully, ensuring that every detail was perfect. Don't touch your face, she reminded him as she finished. And if your beard begins to feel loose, go to the bathroom and gently press it. Elon, now fully transformed into Eddie, practiced his walk and voice one final time. He put on his wire-rimmed glasses and looked in the mirror. A middle-aged science teacher looked back at him. Are you ready to go car shopping, Eddie? Zach inquired with a grin. Eddie nodded. They drove separately to the Bay Bridge Tesla dealership, as prepared as I could possibly be. As planned, Zach arrived first. Eddie parked his rental car, a basic Honda Civic that matched his cover story, in the customer lot and took a deep breath. Okay, Eddie, he said to himself. It's time to see how Tesla actually treats its customers. The dealership was as impressive in person as it had appeared in photographs. The modern glass building shone in the sunlight. A row of shiny Tesla models lined the front, ranging from the affordable Model 3 to the luxurious Model S and the massive Cybertruck. Eddie pushed open the glass door and entered the showroom. After sitting in the hot parking lot, the air conditioning felt great. Inside, about a dozen customers walked around admiring the cars. Several salespeople wearing matching black polo shirts with Tesla logos moved among them. Eddie noticed that the majority of the salespeople were speaking with customers who appeared wealthy. Men? Watches are inexpensive, and women carry designer purses. Nobody appeared to notice him as he stood just inside the entrance. He approached a red Model 3 and looked at the price tag. $39,990. Not cheap, but Eddie could afford it with his teacher's salary if he was careful with his finances. After 5 minutes of inspecting the car, Eddie looked around for assistance. All of the salespeople were still busy with other customers. He made eye contact with Trevor, a young salesman identified by his name tag. Trevor quickly turned away and approached a couple dressed in matching golf outfits. Eddie waited patiently. He circled the Model 3, looked inside the windows, and even sat on a bench near it. However, no one approached him. He checked his watch. He had been in the dealership for 25 minutes and not one employee had greeted him. Zach pretended to look at a Model X across the showroom. He raised his eyebrows at Eddie, silently wondering if anyone had helped him yet. Eddie gave a slight shake of his head. After nearly half an hour, Trevor approached Eddie. His smile appeared forced. Trevor asked, glancing at his phone while speaking. "I'd like to learn more about the Model 3, Eddie said in his practiced voice. "This would be my first electric vehicle." Trevor nodded, but he appeared distracted. "Okay, cool. Model 3 is our entry-level vehicle. Excellent choice for first-time buyers." Eddie asked, "Can you tell me about the battery life?" "I drive about 40 miles to work every day." "Oh, you'll be fine," Trevor said, waving his hand dismissively. "These things can operate indefinitely on a single charge." Eddie knew it was an exaggeration. While Teslas had excellent range, forever was neither accurate nor useful. Eddie pressed. "What is the actual range?" Trevor exhaled slightly. "Like 300 miles or so. More than enough for a commute." The actual EPA estimated range for the standard Model 3 was 272 miles. Trevor was giving incorrect information by a significant amount. "And how long does it take to charge at home?" Eddie wondered. "Just plug it in overnight and you'll be good to go," Trevor said, checking his phone again. "Look, these are basically just regular cars. Except you don't need gasoline. It's super simple." Eddie noticed Trevor's gaze darting across the showroom. A couple in expensive clothes had just walked in, and Trevor appeared eager to finish with Eddie. "What?" Eddie inquired about his financing options. "I'm a teacher, so my budget is pretty tight." Trevor's already waning interest appeared to vanish at the mention of the word teacher. "We have standard financing through our partners," he quickly explained. "Why don't you get a brochure and look over the details? I can call you next." 1 week to follow up. Before Eddie could respond, Trevor handed him a glossy brochure and his business card. "Can I test drive one today?" Eddie asked. Trevor looked at his watch. "We're pretty booked for test drives today. Perhaps you could return on a weekday when we're less busy?" Just then, a man in a suit entered the dealership. Trevor instantly perked up. "Excuse me for a moment," he said to Eddie, then walked quickly toward the new customer. "Welcome to Tesla. Are you looking to drive anything today?" Eddie was taken aback when Trevor offered the new customer a test drive right away. Something he had just mentioned was unavailable. Zach appeared at Eddie's side, pretending they were strangers. "Any luck with that salesperson?" Zach spoke loudly enough for his hidden microphone to pick up. Eddie shakes his head. "Not really. He stated that test drives are fully booked today." They both watched Trevor lead the suit-wearing customer to a desk and begin filling out test drive paperwork. "That is strange," Zach said, pointing discreetly. "That guy appears to have received one recently." Eddie felt a strange combination of emotions. Elon was angry and disappointed. Eddie felt dismissed and unimportant. It was a new feeling for him, and it wasn't pleasant. "Maybe I'll try again another day," Eddie said loudly enough for the microphone to pick up. "Or maybe I'll look into that new Hyundai electric vehicle instead." Nobody seemed to notice or care when Eddie walked out of the dealership. Nobody called afterward. He or they attempted to save the sale. The glass door swung shut behind him, leaving him standing in the parking lot with the brochure in his hand. His first undercover visit had ended, and it had been nothing like he had expected. Eddie walked slowly to his rental car, still processing what had just transpired. The sun shone down on the parking lot as he slid into the driver's seat. He sat for a moment. The air conditioning gradually cools his flushed face. 10 minutes later, Zach joined him in the car. They drove a safe distance before stopping at a small coffee shop to talk. "That was..." Elon began, then paused, searching for the appropriate word. Zach said it was terrible. Elon removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes. "I can't believe Trevor gave that guy a test drive after telling me they were fully booked." Zach nodded as he noticed this. "And it took nearly half an hour for anyone to speak to you." Elon looked out the window. Perhaps it was simply an off day. Perhaps Trevor was having a bad morning. Perhaps, Zach said, not sounding convinced. But did you notice how quickly his interest faded when you mentioned being a teacher? I did, Elon admitted. It was as if a switch had flipped. Suddenly, I was no longer worth his time. They entered the coffee shop and ordered drinks. As they sat at a corner table, Zach took out his tablet and viewed the footage from his hidden camera. Look at this, he said, turning the screen for Elon to see. While you were walking around unnoticed, these two salespeople were simply chatting by the water cooler. They definitely noticed you. Elon watched the video with growing disappointment. From this perspective, it was clear that several employees had noticed him but chose to ignore him in favor of customers who appeared wealthier. And here's another thing, Zach added, fast-forwarding. Trevor told you the Model 3 had a range of around 300 miles. That is just wrong. I understand, Elon said. The standard range is 272 miles. He was off by nearly 30 miles. Do you think he doesn't have the right information? Zach inquired, or perhaps didn't care enough to be accurate. Elon shakes his head. Either way, it's a problem. Customers need accurate information to make sound decisions. They checked Trevor's business card. It listed his cell phone and email address, with the Tesla logo prominently displayed at the top. Should Eddie write him a follow-up email? Zach suggested seeing if he can be more helpful that way. A good idea. Elon agreed. I will write it tonight. They finished their coffee and returned to Elon's house. The makeup was becoming uncomfortable, and he was eager to remove it. That evening, after Mia assisted him in removing the disguise, Elon sat down at his computer and typed an email from Eddie Mercer to Trevor. Dear Trevor, thank you for speaking with me today about the Tesla Model 3. I'm still very interested in learning more, particularly about financing options that are appropriate for my teacher's salary. I had hoped to take the car for a test drive. Could you please let me know when you might have an opening? I am available any evening this week or next weekend. I also had a few more questions. What are the different battery types available? How much does it cost to install a home charger? Are there any tax breaks that could help lower the cost? I appreciate your assistance. This would be a large purchase for me, so I want to make sure I have all of the facts before making a decision. Best regards, Eddie Mercer. Elon sent the email and leaned back in his chair, wondering if Trevor would reply. And if so, how? Quick and helpful. 3 days passed with no response. On the fourth day, Eddie finally received a brief message. Mr. Mercer, I appreciate your interest. We have test drives available for next Tuesday at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. The battery options vary depending on the model. Home charger installation varies according to your electrical system. Most states provide some form of tax incentive. Please let me know if you'd like to schedule a test drive. Trevor Williams, a sales consultant. Bay Bridge, Tesla. Elon read the email twice, his frustration growing. Trevor had provided no specific information, had not properly answered Eddie's questions, and had ignored the fact that Eddie had stated that he was available evenings and weekends, when a teacher would normally be free. He isn't even trying, Elon said aloud to his empty office. He forwarded the email to Zach, adding one comment. This isn't the Tesla experience I expected, Zach responded within minutes. Are you ready to admit that I have won our bet? Not yet, Elon replied. Maybe Trevor is just a bad apple. We need more data. I believe Eddie Mercer should return to the dealership and meet with someone else. Say, Brig, he scheduled the next visit. Elon could not shake a growing sense of unease. Was this truly how ordinary people were treated when they expressed interest in his cars? If so, how many potential Tesla owners have walked away as a result of their experiences? Like Eddie, he was determined to find out. A week after his first visit, Elon sat in Mia's studio chair again. She carefully applied the Eddie Mercer disguise, making minor adjustments based on what they had learned. I'm making the nose look more natural this time, she explained, carefully blending the edges together. I've also added some minor details, such as slight sun damage on your cheeks. Teachers spend time outside with students. Zach paced around the room, reviewing their plan. He advised avoiding Trevor if possible. Try talking to someone else. Also, mention early on that you are considering other electric vehicles. Watch how they react. A good idea. Elon nodded slightly, taking care not to interrupt Mia's work. I will say that I am looking at the Hyundai Ioniq 2. In fact, it is a good car. One of our best competitors. When the disguise was complete, Eddie Mercer appeared even more convincing. He practiced his slightly hunched posture and softer voice again. Ready for round 2? Zach asked. Eddie nodded. Let's see if Trevor was simply having a bad day or if this is a larger issue. They got to the dealership around 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. The showroom was less crowded than on Saturday, with only a few customers looking at the cars. Good, Eddie muttered. They can't use busy as an excuse this time. Eddie pushed open the glass door and noticed a woman behind it. The front desk. She looked up and smiled at him. Welcome to Tesla, she exclaimed brightly. Is this your first visit to us? Eddie sensed a spark of hope. Perhaps the weekend staff was the problem. Yes, he said, returning her smile. I am interested in the Model 3. She said it was a great choice. Let me find someone to assist you. She pressed a button on her desk, and a salesperson appeared 1 minute later. Dana was the name on her name tag. Hello, Dana said. I understand you are interested in the Model 3. Yes, Eddie replied. I'm a teacher who's been saving for an electric car. The Model 3 seems to be within my price range. Dana's smile faded slightly at the word teacher, but she maintained her professional demeanor. The Model 3 is our most affordable option, she explained, directing him to the display model. How much do you know about EVs? Eddie admitted, not much. This would be my first one. I'm also looking into the Hyundai Ioniq. Dana's eyebrows rose. What about the Ioniq? Really? She made a small laugh. Those things catch fire, you know. Eddie knew this was false. While a few battery fires had been reported in electric vehicles, including some Teslas, the Ioniq had an excellent safety record. Eddie commented, I read they were pretty safe. Well, I wouldn't believe everything you read, Dana said dismissively. Tesla's battery technology is miles ahead of Hyundai's. It is not even close. As they talked, Eddie noticed that Dana frequently used technical terms without explaining them, which confused him. When he asked her to clarify, she would make her explanation so simple that it became meaningless. How does regenerative braking work? Eddie asked at one point. Dana waved her hand and said, it's just smart braking. The car figures everything out. You don't have to worry about the details. As they walked around the showroom, Eddie noticed several safety concerns that surprised him. A charging cable stretched across a walkway, causing a tripping hazard. A Model Y had its hood unlatched but not completely secured. Both were in violation of clearly stated corporate safety policies. When Eddie pointed out the cable, Dana kicked it beneath a display. Stand without addressing the issue properly. So, what type of monthly payment are you looking at? Dana inquired, directing the conversation toward finances. I'm hoping to keep it under $500 per month, Eddie stated. My teacher's pay only goes so far. Dana's expression shifted again, becoming slightly condescending. The base model starts around $650 per month with average credit, she said. However, we could consider extending the loan term to reduce the payments. Perhaps one of our pre-owned models is more within your budget. Eddie knew this wasn't Lito's truth. With a decent down payment, a base Model 3 could easily cost less than $500 per month. Eddie asked if we could look at the actual numbers. I've been saving for a decent down payment. Of course, Dana replied, guiding him to her desk. But first, Would you like to see our premium options, which cost slightly more per month? You could get a longer-range version with better features. Eddie spent the next 20 minutes listening to Dana try to upsell him to a more expensive model despite his repeated mention of his budget constraints. Finally, Eddie returned the conversation to financing. I would like to know the exact costs, he said firmly. Could we speak with someone in finance? Dana appeared hesitant, but eventually nodded. I'll see if Raj is available. He is our finance manager. Eddie looked around the showroom while Dana searched for Raj. He noticed a safety poster on the wall that clearly demonstrated the proper way to secure charging cables. Dana had ignored the exact procedure. Near the front desk, he overheard another salesperson conversing with a customer dressed in an expensive suit. Mr. Patterson, for valued customers like yourself, we can expedite delivery, the salesperson explained. And I'd be delighted to personally deliver the car to your home. Eddie wondered if all customers were supposed to receive this type of special treatment, or just those who appeared wealthy. Dana returned with a middle-aged man dressed in a sharp suit. Eddie, this is Raj, our finance manager, she explained. Raj, Eddie is a teacher who is interested in the Model 3, but he is concerned about his budget. Eddie felt as if he was being labeled as a low-value customer because she focused on teacher and budget concerns. Raj gave Eddie a quick once-over, admiring his modest attire and worn shoes. Let's see what we can do for you, Raj said, his smile tight and not reaching his eyes. Why don't you follow me into my office? As Eddie followed Raj to the back of the dealership, he couldn't help but feel that his previous experience had confirmed his growing suspicions. The friendly Tesla experience he believed his company provided appeared to be reserved for a specific type of customer. Eddie Mercer was not that type. Raj's office was small but organized, with a large desk and 2 chairs facing it. The walls were covered in sales achievement certificates and photos of Raj standing next to happy Tesla customers with their new vehicles. Eddie noticed that all of the customers in the photos were nicely dressed and smiling broadly. Have a seat, Raj said, gesturing to one of the chairs as he sat in his leather desk chair. Dana tells me you are interested in our Model 3. That's correct, Eddie confirmed. I've been saving for a while and hope to keep my monthly payments under $500. Raj nodded, but Eddie noticed a hint of annoyance on his face. Well, Teslas are premium vehicles, Raj said, tapping his keyboard. Even our most basic models feature cutting-edge technology. That level of innovation comes with a cost. Eddie leaned forwards. I understand, but your website catches the eye. The base Model 3 starts at $39,990. With my $8,000 down payment, should be able to keep the monthly payments within my budget. Raj appeared surprised, either that Eddie had completed his homework or that a teacher had $8,000 to put down. But that's before taxes, fees, and other expenses, Raj explained, turning his monitor so Eddie could see a spreadsheet. When we include the destination fee, documentation fee, state taxes, and essential packages, the total cost approaches $46,000. Eddie frowned. Essential packages? What does that include? You'll want the premium connectivity package, extended warranty, maintenance plan, wheel locks, and paint protection. Raj listed the items quickly. Are those truly essential? Eddie interrupted. I thought Teslas didn't require much maintenance. And isn't the basic warranty already quite good? Raj's smile tightened. You could technically skip them, but I wouldn't recommend doing so. These additions will protect your investment. Eddie ran some quick calculations in his head. Even with my $46,000 down payment, a 60-month loan should cost less than $500 per month with a reasonable interest rate. But there's the rub. Raj said, navigating to another screen. Based on your profession, we would look at our standard interest rate of 7.9%. Eddie was shocked. Current auto loan rates for people with good credit are around 4%. Eddie said, that seems high. My credit score is more than 800. We'd need to confirm that, of course, Raj said dismissively. Even so, Tesla financing is considered premium financing. We do not offer the low rates you might find at a local credit union. Eddie knew it was completely false. Tesla took pride in its competitive financing options, which were often superior to those offered by traditional dealerships. Could you please show me an exact monthly payment at that rate? Eddie asked. Raj returned to his keyboard, typing numbers into a calculator. He rotated the monitor to show Eddie $712 per month. Eddie, frustrated, said, "That is well above my budget." Raj suggested that the Model May 3 not be the best vehicle for your situation. Have you considered getting a used Nissan Leaf? They are quite affordable for a teacher's salary. Eddie felt his face become warm. As Elon Musk, he had never been addressed in this manner by anyone, let alone an employee of his own company. "I came here specifically for a Tesla," Eddie stated firmly. "And I did my research. I know a base Model 3 with my down payment should be within my budget." Raj's polite demeanor slipped slightly. "Look, Mr. Mercer, I have been doing this for a long time. I understand what people can afford. Based on your profession, I'm attempting to spare you disappointment. What if I turn to my credit union for financing instead?" Eddie inquired, recalling that Tesla promoted outside financing if it benefited customers. "You could do it," Raj said with a shrug. "However, you'd lose the convenience of one-stop shopping. Outside financing takes longer to process. That delay could result in losing the car you want to another buyer." Eddie recognized this as a classic high-pressure tactic, instilling false urgency in a customer to make a quick decision. "I'd still like to see the numbers without all the extras," Eddie insisted. "Only the base Model 3 with taxes and the legally required fees." Raj sighed loudly, indicating Eddie was being difficult. "Okay, let me print that out for you. However, you will return for those add-ons if something goes wrong with your vehicle." He typed briefly before standing up. "I need this from the printer. I will be right back." As Raj left the office, Eddie noticed that his calculator was still open on the screen. The numbers Raj entered did not correspond to those he had shown Eddie. The calculator indicated that the monthly payment should have been $647, not $712. Eddie experienced a surprising surge of anger. Raj had purposefully increased the monthly payment, most likely in the hopes of discouraging him completely or forcing him to take out a longer, more profitable loan. Eddie heard voices in the hallway. He recognized Raj speaking with someone. "Yeah, another tire kicker," Raj said. "Teacher believes he can afford a Tesla." A second voice laughs. "These are the worst. They waste your time by asking a million questions. Then purchase a Hyundai." "Exactly. I gave him a special rate. Perhaps that will scare him away." When Raj returned, Eddie quickly pulled out his phone and pretended to check his messages. Raj said, "Here you go," sliding a paper across the desk. "Without the essential packages, you'll pay $647 per month at our standard rate." Eddie looked at the paper and noticed that the number now matched what he'd seen on the calculator. If Eddie had been a legitimate customer, he would not have known Raj had initially lied about the payment. Eddie said, "That is still above my budget." Raj suggested extending the term to 72 months. That would reduce it to $560 per month. Eddie inquired about getting it under $500. Raj said it would be 84 months. "But I do not recommend loans that long. Cars depreciate, and you'll probably be underwater on your loan for years." Eddie was aware that Tesla vehicles outperformed most cars in terms of value retention. Another fact that Raj misrepresented. Eddie picked up the paper and said, "Let me read through this." Raj glanced at his watch. "Take your time, but I've got another appointment in 10 minutes. Eddie began reading the detailed breakdown, which revealed several fees that appeared excessive or unnecessary. When he inquired about them, Raj responded vaguely about processing and administrative requirements. Eddie stated that before making any decisions, he would like to test drive the car. Of course, Raj nodded and stood up. "Dana can schedule it for next week." We are fully booked for test drives today and tomorrow. As they walked back to the showroom, Eddie noticed a family being led straight to a car for a test drive. The father was dressed casually in jeans and a button-up shirt, but he was wearing an expensive watch. Eddie noticed that someone is currently taking a test drive. Raj quickly replied, "That's different. They have already been approved for financing on a Model X. Top-tier customers are given priority scheduling." In the showroom, Raj returned Eddie to Dana. "Mr. Mercer is interested in taking a test drive. Can you put him on the schedule for next week?" Dana nodded and pulled up a calendar on her tablet. "The earliest I have is next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eddie reminded her that he teaches during the day. "I mentioned that I need evenings and weekends." "Oh, right," Dana said, annoyed that she had to scroll through more options. "The earliest would be Saturday at 9 a.m. We book up quickly on weekends." Eddie accepted the appointment, even though he knew a wealthier-looking customer could probably get a test drive right away. As he left the dealership, Eddie overheard Raj tell Dana that he will never buy and only wants to drive a Tesla to impress his teacher friends. Eddie walked to his rental car, his mind racing from everything he'd seen. Discriminatory treatment, outright lies, and mockery behind customers' backs. His mission was revealing far worse problems than he had anticipated. That evening, Elon met Zach at his home office. The Eddie Mercer disguise was removed, but the frustration remained. "I can't believe what I'm seeing," Elon exclaimed, pacing the room. "This contradicts everything Tesla stands for." Zach nodded as he reviewed the audio recordings from Eddie's hidden microphone. "It's pretty bad, especially since Raj intentionally inflates the numbers." Elon added, shaking his head, "and the things they say when they think customers can't hear them. He mocked teachers and budget holders." "So, are you ready to admit I've won our bet?" Zach asked. Elon stopped pacing. "I am not ready to give up yet. Perhaps this dealership is particularly bad. I'd like to give them one more chance." "Why?" Zach seemed surprised. "You've already seen enough to realize there is a serious problem." "Because I need to know how deep it is," Elon explained. "And I'd like to see how they handle direct product questions." "Will Eddie get accurate answers if he asks very specific technical questions about the car?" 3 days later, Eddie Mercer returned to the Bay Bridge Tesla dealership. This time, he was ready with a list of detailed questions about the Model 3's battery, software, and safety features. The showroom was packed with weekend customers. Eddie spotted Trevor assisting a young couple, but Dana was nowhere to be seen. A new salesperson, Kevin, approached him. "Welcome to Tesla," Kevin said. "How can I help you today?" Eddie said, "I have a test drive scheduled for 9 a.m. Eddie Mercer and Kevin checked the tablet. "Ah, I see it here. But I'm afraid we're running behind schedule. It could be 30 minutes or so before we can get you in a car." Eddie nodded without surprise. "While I wait, could you please answer a few questions about the Model 3? "Sure," Kevin said, looking around the showroom as if waiting for a more promising customer to appear. Eddie took out his list of questions. "What is the exact chemistry of the battery cells in the current Model 3? According to what I've read, Tesla uses a variety of suppliers and compositions." Kevin seemed taken aback. "They're lithium-ion batteries, which are highly advanced." "Yes, but do they currently use NCA or LFP chemistry in the standard range model?" Eddie pressed. "I'd have to look into that specific detail," Kevin said, clearly not understanding what Eddie was saying. This was basic information that anyone selling the car should have. "What about the heat pump's octal valve design? Has this been updated in recent production runs?" Eddie continued. Kevin's eyes glazed over. "The Tesla thermal management system is the best in the industry. It keeps the battery at the perfect temperature." One by one, Eddie asked technical questions that any well-trained Tesla salesperson should be able to answer. Kevin dodged every one with vague generalities or outright admissions that he didn't know. "These are pretty detailed questions," Kevin said, looking uncomfortable. Most customers just want to know about range and acceleration. I like to understand what I'm buying, Eddie replied, especially when spending over $40,000. As they talked, Eddie noticed a commotion near the front desk. A family with two young children were speaking with the receptionist, who looked flustered. But the website said Model 3s start at $39,190, the father was saying. Now you're telling me it's $46,000 for the same car? That's before incentives, the receptionist explained. And there are some required packages. Eddie recognized the same tactic Raj had used on him. The family looked middle class, dressed in nice but not expensive clothes. This is ridiculous, the mother said. That's false advertising. We came all the way here because we thought we could afford this car. Vince Parker, the dealership manager Eddie had seen in photos, emerged from his office. He was tall with perfectly styled silver hair and a practiced smile. Is there a problem here? He asked smoothly. As the family explained their frustration, Eddie edged closer to listen, leaving Kevin looking relieved to be free of the technical questions. I understand your concern, Vince said to the family. His voice just loud enough for others to hear. But Tesla is a premium brand. Our price point reflects the exceptional technology in our vehicles. Perhaps something more basic would better suit your needs. The family's father flushed with embarrassment. We can afford a $40,000 car. We can afford a $46,000 car that was advertised as $40,000. I apologize for the confusion, Vince said, not sounding sorry at all. But those are our prices. The family left, the parents looking angry and the children confused. As the door closed behind them, Eddie heard Vince mutter to the receptionist, "Tire kickers. They were never going to buy anyway." Eddie felt a surge of anger. That family had been treated exactly as he had been. Like second-class customers who didn't deserve a Tesla. He approached the Model 3 display car and noticed something he hadn't seen before. A small but visible scratch ran along the driver's side door. Eddie knew that Tesla's standards would never allow a damaged car to be displayed. When Kevin returned, Eddie pointed out the scratch. Is this car being sold as new? There's damage here. Kevin leaned in to look. Oh, that's just a minor surface issue. It would be buffed out before delivery. It seems like an actual scratch to me, Eddie persisted. Not just something that can be buffed out. Kevin's friendly demeanor slipped. Sir, I think I know the difference between a scratch and a surface mark. Could I speak to a manager about this? Eddie asked. If you're selling damaged cars as new, that's something customers should know. Kevin's eyes narrowed. Are you trying to cause trouble? Because if you're just here to complain, there are plenty of other customers who actually want to buy cars. Vince appeared beside them, apparently having overheard. Is there a problem, Kevin? This gentleman is claiming our display model is damaged, Kevin said with a sneer. Vince turned to Eddie, his smile nowhere to be seen. Sir, are you an expert in Tesla bodywork? No, but I can see a scratch when. Then perhaps you should leave the assessments to the professionals, Vince interrupted. The test drives are fully booked today anyway. We'll have to reschedule you. Eddie stood his ground. But I have an urgent appointment. Appointments sometimes need to be adjusted, Vince said coldly. Kevin, please assist the customers by the Model Y. They look ready to make a decision. As Kevin hurried away, Vince leaned closer to Eddie. Let me be clear, Mr. Mercer. We value customers who value our time. I suggest you consider whether Tesla is really the right brand for you. With that, he walked away, leaving Eddie standing alone by the scratched Model 3. The message couldn't have been clearer. Eddie Mercer wasn't welcome at Tesla. Eddie walked out of the dealership with his head held high. But inside, Elon's thoughts were spinning. This wasn't just one bad employee or an off day. The entire culture of the dealership seemed focused on catering to wealthy customers while pushing away ordinary people who had saved hard to afford a Tesla. As he drove away, he called Zach. Pick me up at the coffee shop, he said. We need to talk. An hour later, Elon sat across from Zach at their usual table, the Eddie disguise now removed. Elon's face was red, partly from the adhesive and partly from anger. They kicked me out, Elon said, still in disbelief. An actual customer with an actual appointment. And they told me to leave because I pointed out a scratch. Zach nodded solemnly. I heard everything through the mic. It was pretty bad. Bad? It was horrible. Elon slammed his hand on the table, causing nearby customers to look over. He lowered his voice. Tesla was supposed to make electric cars for everyone, not just rich people. That was the whole point of the Model 3. So you admit I was right? Zach asked. Elon sighed. Yes, you win our bet. But this isn't about winning or losing anymore. This is about fixing a serious problem. What are you going to do? Zach asked. Fire everyone at the dealership? Elon shook his head. No, that wouldn't solve the real issue. This might be happening at other dealerships, too. I need to understand how widespread the problem is. They spent the next hour planning their next steps. First, they would need to gather more data. Was the Bay Bridge Tesla location an outlier? Or was this happening across the country? I could visit other dealerships. As Eddie, Elon suggested. That would take too long, Zach pointed out. And you've got a company to run. What if we created a team of mystery shoppers, Elon said, getting excited about the idea. People of different ages, backgrounds, and income levels who visit dealerships and report back on their experiences. That could work, Zach agreed. And it would give us data from all over. Not just from a few locations you personally visit. But I still want to visit at least one more dealership myself, Elon insisted. One that's supposed to be excellent with customer service. If that one has problems, too, then we know it's a systemic issue. And then what? Zach asked. Once you know how big the problem is, what will you do? Elon thought for a moment. I'll create a completely new training program for all customer-facing staff. One that emphasizes treating everyone with respect, regardless of what they're wearing or what job they have. That's a start, Zach nodded. But training only works if people believe in it. You might need to change how you evaluate and reward performance, too. You're right, Elon agreed. Right now, salespeople are probably rewarded just for selling expensive cars with lots of add-ons. We need to reward them for customer satisfaction, too. From all types of customers. What about the Bay Bridge dealership? Zach asked. Are you going to confront them? Elon smiled for the first time that day. Oh, yes. But not yet. First, I want to gather all the evidence. Then I'm going to walk in there as myself and see how they react and they realize Eddie Mercer was actually Elon Musk. They'll freak out. Zach laughed. That's the idea, Elon said. But I won't just embarrass them. I'll use it as a teaching moment, show them why their behavior was wrong and how it hurts the company in the long run. As they finished their coffee, Elon pulled out his phone and made a note. Create Tesla's secret shopper program. Then he added, all customers matter, not just rich ones. When do you want to visit the next dealership? Zach asked. This weekend, Elon decided. The downtown location. They won a customer service award last month. Let's see if they deserved it. On the drive back to Elon's house, they refined their plan further. The mystery shopper program would need detailed evaluation criteria. The training program would need specific examples of good and bad customer interactions. You know, Zachy said as they pulled into the driveway. When we made this bet, I thought you'd get mad if you lost. But you're taking it really well. That's because this isn't about winning or losing anymore. Elon replied. It's about making Tesla what I always meant it to be. A company that brings amazing technology to everyone, not just the elite few. As he walked into his house, Elon felt determined rather than defeated. Eddie Mercer's journey wasn't over yet. The following Saturday, Eddie Mercer visited the downtown Tesla dealership. This location had won multiple awards for customer service and had 5-star reviews online. If any dealership should provide an excellent experience, it would be this one. Mia had refreshed the disguise, making small adjustments to ensure no one would recognize Elon. Eddie wore slightly nicer clothes this time, not expensive brands, but well-kept and professional, like a teacher might wear to a parent meeting. As Eddie entered the showroom, he immediately noticed a difference from the Bay Bridge location. The space was clean and well-organized, with no safety hazards in sight. A friendly receptionist greeted him as soon as he walked in. "Welcome to Tesla. Is this your first visit with us?" "Yes," Eddie smiled. "I'm interested in learning about the Model 3. "Wonderful. Let me find someone to help you." She typed something into her computer, and within moments, a salesperson named Marcus approached. "Good morning. I'm Marcus. I understand you're interested in the Model 3? "That's right," Eddie confirmed. "I'm a teacher, and I've been saving up for an electric car." Unlike at Bay Bridge, Marcus didn't seem put off by Eddie's profession. "That's excellent. Teachers are some of our favorite customers. You folks are helping build the future, just like Tesla." Eddie felt a spark of hope. Maybe this dealership would be different. Marcus spent the next hour patiently answering Eddie's questions. When Eddie asked technical questions, Marcus either knew the answers or honestly admitted when he didn't, offering to find out. When Eddie mentioned his budget constraints, Marcus worked to find solutions, rather than pushing him toward more expensive options. "Let's look at the actual numbers," Marcus suggested, bringing Eddie to his desk. "With your down payment and good credit, we should be able to get you into a Model 3 for under $500 a month." The financing options Marcus presented were honest and transparent, with no hidden fees or inflated interest rates. When Eddie asked about a test drive, Marcus scheduled one immediately. "I can take you out right now if you'd like," he offered. "The car is charged and ready to go." The test drive was informative and enjoyable. Marcus explained features without talking down to Eddie and encouraged him to really experience what made a Tesla special. When they returned to the dealership, Eddie was genuinely impressed. This was the Tesla experience he had always envisioned. Respectful, honest, and focused on the customer's needs rather than their wallet. "Thank you for your time," Eddie said as they wrapped up. "This has been very helpful." "It's been my pleasure," Marcus replied, handing Eddie his card. "When you're ready to move forward, just give me a call. And if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out." As Eddie left, he felt conflicted. This dealership had provided exactly the kind of experience he believed all Tesla locations should offer. The contrast with Bay Bridge was stark and troubling. That evening, Elon met with Zach to discuss his findings. It was like night and day, Elon explained. The downtown location treated Eddie with respect and honesty. No games, no pressure, no looking down on him for being a teacher. "So, the problem isn't universal," Zach noted. "That's good news, right?" "In some ways," Elon agreed. "It means we have examples of dealerships doing things right. But it also means we have inconsistent customer experiences across locations, which is almost as bad as all of them being terrible." "What do you want to do next?" Zach asked. "I think we need one more data point," Elon decided. "Let's try a location that's somewhere in the middle, not known for being excellent or terrible." The following weekend, Eddie visited a third Tesla dealership in a suburban area. This location fell somewhere between the previous two experiences. The staff wasn't actively rude, but they were clearly more interested in customers who looked wealthy. Eddie was kept waiting, given vague information, and subtly pushed toward financing options that weren't in his best interest. After this third visit, Elon had a clearer picture of the problem. He organized his notes and evidence, creating a detailed report of everything he had observed. "So what's the verdict?" Zach asked as they reviewed the findings. It's a mixed bag, Elon admitted. We have locations like downtown that are doing things right. We have places like Bay Bridge that are completely failing. And we have many in between that could go either way, depending on who you talk to and what you're wearing. Sounds like a management problem, Zach suggested. The culture starts at the top, Elon nodded. Exactly. Vince Parker at Bay Bridge has created a culture where only rich customers matter. The manager at downtown, Sarah Chin, according to their website, has built a team that values all customers equally. They spent the next week gathering more evidence. Elon had his assistant pull sales data, customer satisfaction surveys, and employee reviews for all three dealerships. The patterns were clear. Downtown had higher overall sales and better satisfaction scores across all customer types. Bay Bridge had high satisfaction only among wealthy customers, with terrible scores from middle-income buyers. Elon also discovered something interesting in the employee reviews. Downtown had almost no staff turnover, while Bay Bridge constantly lost good employees. Several former Bay Bridge salespeople had left scathing reviews on job websites mentioning the toxic culture and unethical practices. I think I've seen enough, Elon said finally. It's time to take action. What's the plan? Zach asked. First, I'm going to implement that mystery shopper program we discussed. I've already got a team working on it secretly. And what about Bay Bridge? Zach pressed. Are you going to confront them? Elon smiled. Oh, yes. I've scheduled a visit for next week. I'm bringing 2 executives from corporate with me. Vince Parker thinks we're coming for a routine inspection. He's in for quite a surprise. Zach laughed. That's not all, Elon added. I've decided to bring Sarah Chen from downtown with us. She's going to help implement new training across all locations afterward. She knows how to create the right culture. And Eddie Mercer, Zach asked. Will he make one final appearance? No, Elon shook his head. Eddie has done his job. Next time I walk into Bay Bridge Tesla, I'll be doing it as myself. Elon picked up his phone and made one last call to Mia, thanking her for her help with the disguise. Eddie Mercer had served his purpose. Now it was time for the real Elon Musk to step in and fix what was broken. The following Tuesday, Elon arrived at Tesla headquarters earlier than usual. He had a busy morning planned before the confrontation at Bay Bridge. He met with Lisa Chen, his head of customer experience, and Daniel Rodriguez, his chief operating officer, to brief them on what he had discovered. I wish you had told us sooner, Lisa said, looking troubled as she reviewed Eddie's experiences. We could have helped with the investigation. I needed to see it with my own eyes, Elon explained. No filters, no warnings to the dealerships that someone was watching. Daniel nodded. So what exactly are we doing today at Bay Bridge? We're going to conduct what they think is a routine inspection, Elon said. We'll ask them about their sales process, customer experience, and training. I want to hear what they claim they're doing before I reveal what I know they're actually doing. And then, Lisa asked, then I'll tell them I was Eddie Mercer. Elon smiled. And we'll see how they react. Sarah Chen, the manager from the downtown dealership, joined them for a quick coffee before they departed. Elon had called her the previous day to explain the situation and enlist her help. I've suspected problems at some locations, Sarah admitted. But I had no idea it was this bad. That's why I need your help, Elon told her. You've created the exact culture I want at every Tesla location. After today, I'd like you to help develop a new training program. The 4 of them traveled together to Bay Bridge Tesla, arriving just before noon. Elon wore his usual black t-shirt and blazer, a stark contrast to Eddie Mercer's modest teacher attire. As they pulled into the parking lot, Elon noticed a familiar face standing outside the main entrance, Vince Parker, looking nervous but trying to hide it behind a confident smile. News that Elon Musk himself was coming for an inspection must have spread quickly. Showtime, Elon muttered as they parked. The moment Elon stepped out of the car, the atmosphere changed. Staff members who had been milling around suddenly stood. Straighter, someone rushed inside, presumably to warn the others. "Mr. Musk," Vince called out, hurrying forward with an extended hand. "What an unexpected honor. We had heard someone from corporate was coming, but never imagined it would be you personally." Elon shook Vince's hand firmly. "I like to stay connected with our retail operations, Mr. Parker. These are my colleagues, Lisa Chen, Daniel Rodriguez, and Sarah Chen from our downtown location." Vince's smile faltered slightly at the mention of downtown, a competing dealership known for its excellent performance. But he quickly recovered. "Welcome to Bay Bridge Tesla," he said smoothly. "We're thrilled to have you all here. I've prepared a tour of our facility and a presentation on our sales approach." "Excellent," Elon nodded. "Let's start with the showroom." Inside, the dealership was spotless. Clearly, they had cleaned thoroughly in preparation for the corporate visit. The staff was lined up near the front desk, all wearing pressed black polos and nervous smiles. Elon recognized Trevor and Dana among them. Raj, the finance manager, stood slightly apart, looking particularly anxious. "This is our showroom layout." Vince began gesturing around the space. "We position our display models to maximize customer interaction and highlight our latest features." Elon noticed that the Model 3 with the scratch was gone, replaced by a pristine vehicle. "And how would you describe your approach to customer service?" Elon asked as they walked. "Customer-focused and inclusive," Vince replied without hesitation. "We believe every visitor deserves the full Tesla experience, regardless of their background. Our goal is to make electric vehicles accessible to everyone." Elon exchanged a quick glance with Zach, who had joined them for this visit and was recording everything on his tablet. "That's good to hear," Elon said. "Could you walk us through your typical process when a customer first enters the dealership?" "Of course," Vince nodded enthusiastically. "Every customer is greeted within 30 seconds of entering. We ask about their needs and interests, then pair them with a product specialist who can best assist them." This description bore no resemblance to Eddie Mercer's experience of waiting nearly 30 minutes before anyone spoke to him. "What about financing?" Daniel asked. "How do you handle customers with different budget constraints?" "We present all available options transparently." Raj spoke up, stepping forward. "We never push customers toward financing they can't afford. Our goal is finding the right solution for each individual." Elon had to stop himself from laughing out loud at this blatant lie. The tour continued with Vince and his team painting a picture of Bay Bridge Tesla as a paragon of customer service and inclusivity. According to them, every customer received a test drive on request, accurate information about the vehicles, and honest financial advice. After about 45 minutes, Vince led them to the dealership's conference room. "I've prepared a presentation on our sales figures and customer satisfaction metrics," he said proudly. "Before we get to that," Elon said, taking a seat at the head of the table, "I'd like to ask your team a few questions." Vince looked momentarily concerned but quickly nodded. "Of course." "Trevor," Elon turned to the young salesman. "How do you approach customers who aren't familiar with electric vehicles? Say, someone who's buying their first Tesla?" Trevor straightened up. "I take time to explain the technology in simple terms. I focus on their specific needs and concerns. I make sure they feel comfortable asking questions." "Dana," Elon continued. "How do you handle customers with strict budget limitations?" "I work within their constraints," she answered confidently. "I never try to upsell customers beyond what they can afford. If a Model 3 is their budget, we focus on making that work." "And Raj," Elon turned to the finance manager. "How do you ensure customers get the best possible financing rates?" "I present all options transparently," Raj repeated his earlier claim. "We work with multiple lenders to find the best rates, and I always make sure customers understand exactly what they're signing." Elon nodded, maintaining a neutral expression. "Those all sound like excellent practices." Vince beamed with pride. "We have the best team in the Tesla network. Our customer satisfaction scores prove it." "That's interesting," Elon said, his voice still casual. Because that's not what I experienced when I visited this dealership. A confused silence fell over the room. You visited us before? Vince asked, looking puzzled. I'm sure I would have remembered. 3 times, actually, Elon interrupted. The most recent visit was just over a week ago. The staff exchanged bewildered glances. That's impossible, Trevor said. We would have recognized you immediately. Elon smiled. Would you recognize this person? He nodded to Zach, who tapped his tablet. The large screen on the conference room wall came to life, showing a photo of Eddie Mercer, glasses, beard, and casual clothes. That's the guy who complained about the scratch on the Model 3, Kevin blurted out. The teacher, Dana added. The one with all the questions. That's right, Elon confirmed, his smile fading. The teacher you ignored for 30 minutes, Trevor. The one you lied to about test drives being unavailable, then immediately offered a test drive to another customer. The one you gave incorrect information about battery range. Trevor's face drained of color. And Dana, Elon continued, the customer. You told that Hyundai Ioniqs catch fire when that's demonstrably false. The one you tried to upsell despite his clearly stated budget constraints. Dana looked at the floor, unable to meet Elon's gaze. And Raj, Elon turned to the finance manager. The customer you quoted an inflated interest rate to. The one you mocked as a tire kicker when you thought he couldn't hear you. Raj's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Vince had gone pale. Mr. Musk, there must be some mistake. There's no mistake, Elon said firmly. He tapped his own tablet and the screen changed to show Eddie Mercer transforming into Elon Musk as the disguise was removed. I was Eddie Mercer. I experienced your customer service firsthand. The room fell completely silent. Vince Parker was the first to recover. Mr. Musk, I can explain. No need. Elon cut him off, his voice calm but firm. I saw everything myself. I experienced it firsthand. Now I'd like everyone in this room to watch exactly what happened. Zach tapped his tablet again and video footage began playing on the screen. It showed Eddie Mercer's 3 visits to the dealership from multiple angles captured by the hidden cameras they had worn. For the next 20 minutes, the Bay Bridge team watched in horrified silence as their treatment of Eddie was revealed in excruciating detail. They saw themselves ignoring him, lying to him, mocking him behind his back, and ultimately kicking him out of the dealership. When the video ended, Elon looked around the table. Some staff members looked ashamed, others defensive, and a few seemed angry at being caught. I founded Tesla with a mission, Elon said, breaking the silence. To accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, not just for rich people, not just for those who dress a certain way, for everyone. He stood up and paced slowly around the table. The Model 3 was specifically created to bring electric vehicles to a wider market, to make them accessible to teachers, nurses, office workers, hardworking, people who care about the planet but don't have unlimited budgets. He stopped behind Trevor's chair. When you treat customers like Eddie Mercer, as if they don't matter, you're not just being rude, you're actively working against Tesla's core mission. But Mr. Musk, Vince interjected, we need to focus on customers who can afford our higher-end models. That's where the profit is. Elon shook his head. That short-sighted thinking is exactly the problem. Every customer matters. The teacher who buys a Model 3 today might run a school district tomorrow and order a fleet of Teslas. The young couple you dismissed might tell 20 friends about their horrible experience. He pulled up sales data on the screen. Look at downtown Tesla. They treat every customer with respect, regardless of appearance or budget. Their sales are 32% higher than yours, their customer satisfaction scores are nearly perfect, and their repeat business is double what you see here. Sarah Chin, the downtown manager, spoke up. We've found that when we focus on matching the right car to each customer's needs, not pushing the most expensive option, people are happier with their purchase and become advocates for Tesla. Exactly. Elon nodded. This isn't just about being nice. It's good business. Raj, the finance manager, finally found his voice. With all due respect, Mr. Musk, we're under enormous pressure to hit sales targets. The easiest way to do that is to focus on high-margin sales. I understand that pressure, Elon acknowledged. But the targets don't specify who you sell to or how you treat people. That culture comes from leadership. He looked pointedly at Vince. Dana raised her hand tentatively. So, are we all fired? The question hung in the air. The staff held their breath, awaiting Elon's response. That would be the easy solution, Elon admitted. But it wouldn't fix the underlying problem. He moved back to the head of the table. Here's what's going to happen. Starting tomorrow, Sarah will be working with this dealership to implement 8.8 in a complete retraining program. Every customer-facing employee will learn our new customer service standards. Vince's face flushed. You're bringing in another manager to tell us how to run our dealership? I'm bringing in someone who understands our mission, Elon corrected him. You'll work with her. Or you can choose to leave Tesla. The same goes for everyone in this room. He looked around at each staff member. I believe people can change when they understand why it matters. But make no mistake, we will be watching. We're implementing a mystery shopper program across all Tesla locations. Any dealership that fails to provide excellent service to all customers will face consequences. Trevor looked up. I just thought we were supposed to focus on the big sales. No one ever told us differently. Now I'm telling you, Elon said, every person who walks through that door deserves respect and honest information, whether they're buying a base Model 3 or a fully loaded Model X. Lisa Chin, the head of customer experience, distributed tablets to each staff member. These contain our new customer service guidelines and training materials. Your first session begins tomorrow at 8 a.m. As the meeting continued, Elon noticed something odd. While most of the staff seemed appropriately chastened, Vince kept checking his phone under the table. His face showed not just embarrassment, but genuine worry. During a short break, Elon pulled Zach aside. Something's off with Vince, he whispered. He's too nervous, even for someone who just got caught treating customers badly. Zach nodded. I noticed that too. Want me to dig deeper? Yes, Elon decided. Check the sales records and inventory systems. See if there's anything unusual. While the others continued discussing the implementation of the new training program, Zach slipped out. He returned 20 minutes later, his expression grim. He handed Elon a tablet with a series of charts and numbers. Elon reviewed the information, his eyebrows rising in surprise. He whispered something to Lisa and Daniel, who looked equally shocked. As the meeting was wrapping up, Elon addressed the group again. There's one more thing we need to discuss, he said, his voice taking on a different tone. Something I discovered during my visits as Eddie Mercer. Vince shifted uncomfortably in his seat. I noticed some inventory discrepancies, Elon continued. Cars that were listed as sold, but never delivered to customers. Vehicles moved between dealerships without proper documentation. The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Most of the staff looked confused, but Vince and Raj exchanged a quick glance. At first, I thought it might be simple paperwork errors, Elon said. But Zach has been analyzing the data more closely. He turned to Vince directly. Would you like to explain why 28 vehicles that were reported as sold to customers actually ended up overseas, Mr. Parker? Or why the paperwork for those sales contains fictional buyer information? Vince's face went from red to white. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you do, Elon countered. I think you and Raj have been running a side operation, diverting inventory, creating fake sales records, and selling the cars through private channels for a markup. Raj stood up suddenly. This is ridiculous. You can't accuse us without evidence. We have evidence, Daniel said quietly, sliding a folder across the table. Bank records showing transfers to offshore accounts in both your names. VIN numbers of diverted vehicles. Even the warehouse where 3 cars are currently being stored before shipment. The other staff members stared in shock as the truth unfolded. This wasn't just about poor customer service. Vince and Raj had been running a criminal enterprise right under their noses. That's why you focused on wealthy customers, Elon realized. You needed legitimate high-value sales to hide your fraudulent ones. And why you discouraged people like Eddie Mercer. You didn't want to waste time on customers who might ask too many questions or need detailed paperwork. Trevor looked horrified. I had no idea, I swear. We believe you, Lisa assured him. The evidence points to just Vince and Raj. Vince suddenly bolted for the door, but security guards were already waiting outside. They had been alerted when Zach discovered the fraud. As Vince and Raj were escorted out, the remaining staff sat in stunned silence. What happens now? Dana asked in a small voice. That depends on you, Elon replied. I still believe this dealership can be turned around. The question is whether you're willing to be part of that change. Over the next hour, Elon spoke individually with each staff member. Most were genuinely shocked by the revelation of fraud and eager to prove they hadn't been involved. They admitted to following Vince's lead on customer service, believing it was what Tesla wanted them to do. We'll be appointing an interim manager, Elon told them. Someone who can help rebuild this dealership's culture and reputation. As the IOU day came to a close, Elon stood in the middle of the showroom, looking at the gleaming Teslas on display. What had started as a simple bet with Zach had uncovered not just poor customer service, but an actual criminal operation. I never expected this outcome, he admitted to Zach as they prepared to leave. Neither did I, Zach agreed. But in a way, it makes sense. A culture that treats people as disposable based on their appearance or income is the perfect cover for other unethical behavior. Elon nodded thoughtfully. And it shows why our mission matters so much. Tesla isn't just about selling cars. It's about creating a better future. One that includes everyone. As they walked to their car, Elon looked back at the dealership one last time. Eddie Mercer may be gone, he said. But he taught me something important. Sometimes you have to walk in someone else's shoes to truly understand their experience. Zach smiled. So what's next? Are you going to go undercover at SpaceX too? Elon laughed. No, but I am going to implement mystery shoppers at all our locations. And I'll be making random visits myself to keep everyone on their toes. In the weeks that followed, the Bay Bridge dealership underwent a complete transformation. The new manager with Sarah's guidance created a welcoming environment where every customer received the same respectful treatment. Sales increased and the location slowly rebuilt its reputation. The mystery shopper program revealed a few other dealerships with similar issues, though none had the criminal element of Bay Bridge. Each received the training and oversight needed to improve. 6 months later, Eddie Mercer made one final appearance. Not at a Tesla dealership, but in a company-wide training video. His story became a powerful reminder of why Tesla's mission included everyone, regardless of their background or bank account. As for Vince and Raj, they faced criminal charges for their fraud scheme. The investigation revealed connections to overseas buyers willing to pay huge markups to skip the waiting list for Tesla vehicles. A scheme that had been running for years under the cover of their seemingly successful dealership. Elon kept the disguise Mia had created, storing it in his office as a reminder that sometimes the best way to lead is to first experience things from a different perspective. And whenever a new dealership manager was hired, Elon made sure to tell them about Eddie Mercer, the teacher who changed Tesla forever. Thanks for joining me for this story about Elon Musk's undercover adventure. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop your location in the comments below. If you enjoyed this tale, please hit that like button to help spread this story to more people. Kindness matters, whether you're buying a Tesla or just brightening someone's day. And if you want more stories like this, click on the video appearing on your screen right now. Until next time.